Hello and welcome to Charter Local Edition Northwest. Today we're in Salem, Oregon, and we're talking to your elected representatives. And my guest is Representative David Gomberg. Thank you for joining us.
So nice to be with you again.
And you're with the Central Coast area. You've got a can-do spirit. You're a business owner, very accomplished in many areas. How are you applying that to what you're trying to accomplish this session?
Well, I think a can-do attitude is really important, particularly from the coast. And what we've got at the coast are can-do people.
Yes.
We've got a lot of entrepreneurs who start with just a core idea. They use their experience, they use their creativity, and sometimes they just use their raw economic courage to try and make something out of nothing. That's the kind of can-do spirit that I'm talking about, where entrepreneurs create a sustainable future for themselves and for their family and for their employees.
Now, as an Oregon resident, your background is a little more diverse than most. You were born in London. You have an MBA. You're a competitive kite flyer. You're a business owner. How do you take all of that and employ that to benefit your constituents when you're here?
And yes, I was born in London. I'm the son of an American Air Force officer and his British war bride. I think the main thing there is diversity. Susan and I have traveled a lot. We've built a business. We've seen a lot, and we've experienced a lot. And I think it's important when you come to the Capitol that you have a broader perspective, that you see that there are alternatives. Not everything is on a straight, narrow, refined track, that there's a lot of opportunity out there, and sometimes creativity is important. I'll say that another way. I've been married for 30 years now. I learned a long time ago that compromising isn't losing. And that's part of the legislative process.
Well, I do think a lot of Americans would like more compromise on all levels of government. And so how are you working across the aisle to get what needs to be done this year, especially when it comes to the big things like transportation and budget?
Well, you know, those issues, and they are the big ones, the transportation and the budget, are going to require bipartisan cooperation. And so it starts with building relationships. When I first got elected, a good friend of mine, who is the son of a Republican governor from North Carolina, said, "David, when you get to the Capitol, do me a favor and make a friend on the other side of the aisle." I've made several friends on the other side of the aisle. I think I probably co-sponsor more legislation with Republicans, even though I'm a Democrat, than any other member of my caucus. I think relationships and cooperation are important, and it's going to be particularly important this session if we're going to be successful on those big issues like you mentioned, a transportation plan and a revenue plan, and coming to a constructive conclusion on this very difficult budget.
Sometimes we have such a large population in Portland, and there's a large influx of people moving into Portland. All other parts of Oregon can feel left out and like their needs are not being met. And so in this particular session, what are the needs from your area that differ from what the Portland House wants?
Well, you know, Oregon is big. And we are not in a one-size-fits-all kind of environment here. And issues, as you say, that may work in Portland don't necessarily work at the coast. Sometimes we need to pursue coastal solutions to coastal issues, whether it's our unique transportation needs, the challenges of our educational institutions, certainly getting ready for a major natural disaster, an earthquake and tsunami, are unique concerns at the coast. They should be unique concerns for all Oregonians, but they're of particular concern to us out at the coast, and getting ready for that major event is going to be in the forefront of everybody's thinking, and certainly those of us that represent them here in Salem.
Well, and the conclusion to that is you've worked on that pretty diligently for at least 2 or 3 years that we've been doing interviews, and you've made some great strides.
We are making progress, and we need to make more progress. For example, right now I'm trying to work on preparing kids more effectively for a major natural disaster, whether it be an earthquake or a tsunami, or it might be a flood, or it might be a fire, or it might even be unexpectedly heavy snowfall. Right now our schools are focused on helping kids get through the day. I want to make sure that kids are better prepared to get through the weeks and even months after a major event like that happens. And you know, I'm a believer that education is generational, that very often parents learn from their kids. Parents learn from their kids, and if we can start with the schools and help kids get ready for those kind of things, they're going to go home and the entire community is going to be better prepared.
Well, yes, and some of that time has been diverted to school safety since we've had so many school shooting incidents. When you used to have a fire drill, now you have an active shooter drill. And so there certainly needs to be time devoted to all of those things. then where's the time for education? There are only so many hours in the school day.
Well, that's interesting. Current law says that we have those active shooter drills and we have the fire drills, but we also spend half an hour each month dealing with emergency preparation. As I said, I want to make sure that we use that time effectively, not only to talk about duck and cover and getting through the day, but what to do when you get home and mom and dad couldn't get home. What kind of supplies do we need on hand? Where do we have go kits, and how many of those go kits do we need? How can young people get involved in the community and better preparing the community to help recover from a major event? Those are the kind of things that we need to talk about if we're going to talk not just about surviving, but recovering from a major event.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. This is your representative, David Gomberg. I'm Dana Cowley, and thanks for watching Charter Local Edition Northwest in Salem, Oregon.
Thank you.